the Run It Up challenge on DraftKings. Day one was a little disappointing considering we lost all 10%. Of course, that's one way to get out of the gate. But we're back at it for day two. So let's take a look at last night's lineup, and here it is. Last night's lineup, all things considered, I'd be pretty happy with. If I score 259 every night during the NBA season, we're probably gonna have a lot of good nights, and that's exactly what we did. So that's over 5 times value on your 50,000 in salary. So it's really hard to complain about. But as we dig a little deeper into this, you'll see why it is a little disappointing that we didn't cash in anything and basically bubbled every single tournament. So we'll go a little bit into that. So as far as the $2, I believe it's a 40K layup on DraftKings. We whiffed that, did not cash by a couple of points, and same thing goes in the 50-50. So I actually own up to this. I messed this up big time. I thought that DraftKings had $2 50-50s, and when I got in there and saw that there were $1 50-50s, I just dumped $8 worth of entries into those. So 8 entries into the same 50-50 plus $2 into the layup is the $10, which is 10% of the starting bankroll. So that was my fault. What I should have done to decrease a little variance was to play heads up games instead, because I think 259 probably would have been good in a lot of heads up matches. So that's my fault. When you put the same lineup in the same 50-50 multiple times, you're going to all win together or all lose together, and that was a mental mistake on my part. So I completely own up to that. I don't think we should have lost all 10%, but that's a good lesson right out of the gate. So let's dig deeper into this lineup. It wasn't a bad lineup. I really liked it. First of all, the truth is out on Robert Covington. This is one of the 50-50s, so he was almost 80% owned. And what was his salary last night? Let's see, 3,600, and he puts up 40 points. Now, it helps that we had 3 guys in the Memphis Sixers game because it went to overtime, which is always nice for DraftKings. But Robert Covington is insane. The guy can shoot it from all over the place. I say he's insane. I mean, he's great for the Sixers, right? He's filling up the stat sheet on the 76ers, which it doesn't matter what team he does it for. It's great in our lineup. Same thing goes for Luke Mbah, who, a decent night. I think this was actually probably one of his worst nights in the last couple. So, you're not disappointed because he got basically 5 times value, but he's had much better games lately. Excuse me. Ty Lawson and Zach Randolph do basically exactly what you expect them to do. Ty Lawson, I think, was 9,600, so he gets close to 5 times value. Randolph was 7,400, so he needed 35 points to get 5 times, 42 to get to 6, so he's good there. DeAndre Jordan continues to be a rebound machine, which we talked about. We knew he was going to get double-digit rebounds, and anything over that would just be gravy. So he finishes with 35, which is probably, I think he was like 7,000. Yeah, 7,000. So that's exactly 5 times value. Oladipo started slow, but actually picked it up late and in the second half here. What was his price? 6,300. So he almost hit 6 times. So I mean, this is all good. But where we're disappointed in 2 spots here, and it's the point guard and Darren Collison, who scores 22, which is really a shame because if you look at it, let's pull this up. He filled up the stat sheet, and he did it a lot of ways. If you only score 3 points and you can still score 22 DraftKings points, you're doing something right. That means you're filling up the stat sheet the rest of the time. I mean, if you look at it, he's right around his season averages in rebounds, assists, blocks, or at least in the last couple games. And he did a really nice job there. He just didn't have the points. Darren, where is it, buddy? I mean, hasn't scored in single digits once in his last 10 games, or twice now in his last 10 games. Almost always over 15 or 16, most times in 20. So, I mean, just really disappointing on what could have been here. Because even if you tax on 10 more, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities, we're cashing here. So this 50-50 lineup I'm looking at the spreadsheet on my other screen here. So we needed to finish 3,000 in spot 3332 to cash, which would have been 264 points. So we were 5 points off it. So that hurts a little bit when you get Darren Collison, who just didn't do anything on the scoring end of it. And the same goes with Beverly down here, who let's see, had been over 30 basically every night since he got back from injury. Again, double-digit point scorer almost every single night, and he doesn't get to it again. So just a really poor night for Beverly and Collison, which could have been much, much bigger. And I hate to play the what-if game because they were both pretty highly owned, but, you probably only need a handful of points more from each of them so that we're talking about a winning day today instead of a losing day, but that's kind of the break. So it is what it is. Let's move on to day 2, and what we're going to do, it's Sunday, it's December, what is it, the 15th. It's 11 a.m. on the East Coast at the time of recording this, so we've got about 2 hours until football starts. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get in any NBA lineups, so I think with our bankroll currently being at 90, since we lost the 10% last night, we've got $9 to work with today. I will probably do it in the NFL. I think that's probably the best way. If I end up doing anything, you know what? Let's just do NFL. And if I end up doing any NBA, I'll try to make a second video for that. But I don't know if I'm going to get around to it today. So we'll roll with some NFL today. So let's see what we got going on here. Okay, let's get into. So we know we're going to do the. Sorry. I don't even know what I'm saying. Saying NFL and clicking NBA. So, okay, let's go here. They should have a $2. Here it is. I think this is, well, we can get into the flea flicker, which is 15 grand guarantee with 1,000 to first, or the play action, which is 500 to first. I think did we miss the big one? Did it fill? I thought there was usually one with like 10 grand to first place. Yeah, it looks like it filled on us. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just get into the big boy here, which would be the. Am I going crazy right now? Play action? Is that what I said? Yeah, play action. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. I'm going nuts today. Okay. So let's get into this. We'll get into the one, that has a higher chance of overlay. I doubt either one are going to overlay, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So constructing the NFL lineup, there has been some news that's broke this morning. Hasn't been confirmed by the team, but it seems like all the media outlets are reporting that Julio Jones is going to be out. So that's interesting. We know that Brandon Marshall is already out. That's interesting. Those when big guys get injuries and their replacements get plugged in daily fantasy, it opens up a spot for cheap players to play large roles. So same as we do with the NBA, I want to plug in the guys that I need in my lineup first, guys that I can't pass up. And because Julio Jones is out, we're going to throw in Harry Douglas, who is 4,200. I don't have the stat in front of me, but it's something like when Harry Douglas is the number 2 wide receiver on the Falcons over the last, I want to say it's 2 seasons, he's a top 15 fantasy wide receiver, something like that. So in games where either Julio is out or Roddy White is out and Harry Douglas steps in, he's been really effective. So it's at home. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense and secondary is miserable. This is basically a matchup that I expect everyone to have, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Harry Douglas is a nice play today, especially for his price tag. And the other guy is, I believe his name is pronounced Marquise Wilson, and he is the very talented wide receiver who will be starting in place of Brandon Marshall today. Most reports have him being plugging right into that role. They think he's going to get the targets. He's a pretty good play. It's Monday night against the Saints, so at least one extra day to say the 15th. Yeah. So one extra day to get everybody all on the same page in that offense. So really interesting play with Marquise Wilson, and I like that one a lot. Okay. Now, with that being said, I usually like to plug in my defense next, and I haven't done this yet. This is just research that's in my head through the week. I haven't really created any of these lineups. I don't love Kansas City as much as I usually would. Seattle probably going to be highly owned. They're expensive, but does anybody see Colin Kaepernick moving the ball at all on this defense? They're playing great right now. They're at home. They're on top of everything. That would be hard to pass up. I'm just scrolling down a bit here to see if there's any good values. I mean, you can make a case for the Jets here because Tennessee's brutal, and at least the Jets have a good run D, and I can't imagine Tennessee's going to be able to throw the ball either. So that's not terrible if we need a value option. But let's continue to go forward and plug in as I'm scrolling through here. Let's plug in the Seahawks. The Lions are great too. Let's plug in the Seahawks. Okay. So right off the bat, we've got three low price options. Not necessarily as far as defenses go, but as far as the overall percentage of your bankroll goes, or of your spend goes. So we've already got 6,500 left. Now, quarterback is an interesting position. I think we can afford to pay up here. So what I'm thinking Andrew Luck might be the guy, and I might want to pair him with T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's career numbers against Houston are insane. T.Y. Hilton's career numbers at home are insane. Andrew Luck, even though he's had a couple of non-Andrew Luck games recently, I mean, he's obviously capable of putting up 30 plus on any given night. He's a freak. He can run it too. So, I mean, if he runs for 37 yards again, that's basically another touchdown in this format. So, really like Andrew Luck. Let's see what happens. I mean, we'll tinker with this, but let's see what happens if we just plug Luck in and let's say we stack him with Hilton. So we're spending some money now. So, this is starting to shape up. So we're probably going to need to go a little cheaper at running back here, because there are some really good, like I know Odell Beckham is a guy like I really want to get in this lineup, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but we'll see. So let's go with some cheaper options at running back here. Obviously love all these guys at the top, but super expensive. I think Ingram could be fine, but we probably need to spend less. I would have liked Alfred Morris more if RG3 was playing. LeGarrette Blount's probably a pretty decent play for 4,400. He's in play here. Even Ivory's in play. But what I really like, where is he? There he is. Okay. Latavius Murray is interesting. He's only 4,000. He got 23 carries last week. He's going up against Kansas City, who, yeah, small sample size. He only had 4 carries against in the week that he left with a concussion, but he gashed him for 112 yards. He had that 90-yarder, 2 touchdowns. So there is a precedence there for him playing well against them. Kansas City has been really terrible this year against the run, especially in the last couple games, something like 5.5 yards per carry to opposing running backs. So he's a solid, cheap option. It's tough to find a lot of running backs that you think might get 20-plus touches, especially for $4,000. So I think he's the guy we should plug in as kind of a place saver there and continue to move here. So I mentioned Odell Beckham, who I believe he's like 8,000, 8,800 maybe. 8,400. Okay. So I love I mean, it's hard not to like these guys, but Odell Beckham could absolutely shred the Redskins for like 250 yards today. It's going to be insane. I don't know who is going to cover him. They've been basically the worst secondary in football all year long. So He's a guy that I was really targeting coming into this. So if we plugged him into the flex, it's gonna really make it a little more difficult for this. So we've paid up for some serious talent here with Luck, Hilton, and Beckham. We got two really good cheap options at Flyer here who should see a lot of action, and Murray who should see a lot of opportunity. So it's not crazy to think this lineup is shaping up to be pretty good. With that being said, we're not going to have enough to get Gronk into this lineup. We are not going to have enough. I don't want Jimmy Graham. I don't know what's happening the last couple weeks. Julius Thomas is interesting, but I think the guy that I really like is Bennett, and that Bears Saints game could be a shootout on Monday night. Martellus Bennett is seeing a lot of targets recently. I think him and Wilson can both get theirs. There's a precedent for that in the Chicago Bears offense that they could very easily, multiple receivers can have big days. So I'm not worried about that. So now we're stuck with 3,700 for the last running back, and this is where it's going to get tricky. And this would be a flyer of all flyers to take Chris Johnson here. So if we're looking back at his game logs, he's been pretty good the last two games. He's getting the opportunity. Tennessee's terrible. I imagine Ivory and Chris Johnson are both going to be able to run against him. There's not a lot of great options here. So if we actually spent up a little bit, like let's see, where was Ivory? Ivory's 4,200. Him and Chris Johnson are basically the same player on the same team, which is tough because you might have to guess which one is gonna basically find the end zone. I like Ivory a little more. Let me go back and look at Chris Johnson again here. Oh man, it'd be really hard to plug in Chris Johnson with the year he's having, but you probably have to go with one of these guys. If we wanted to go with Ivory, we'd probably have to drop some money off the defense here, which is probably the place that's most expendable because I like the rest of this lineup. So if we went 3,700 left, let's see. Ivory's 42. We have to take the defense down to at least 3,000. So our options then become Texans, Colts, Niners, Cowboys. It doesn't get great. I mean, we could really ride the Jets and go Ivory, Jets, defense. That's not great. I'd prefer. Well, you never know. I mean, no, that's not good. I'd stick with the Seahawks. They're a safer play for us. So let's go crazy here. Let's plug in Chris Johnson. He might even catch you a few balls. Let's see. Yeah, he might catch you one or two balls as well in full PPR format. So this is a decent lineup that I just threw together. We paid up for studs, so we stacked Luck and Hilton, which is going to be expensive. We got Odell Beckham Jr., who's a stud. And one of the most expensive defenses. So we took a couple flyers here on some low-priced options, which could pan out. But if you really wanted to tinker with this, you could probably just get rid of Luck, and you could plug in Derek Anderson. And once you have Derek Anderson in, that's going to open up a lot of different options for you. So you could pay up for basically any of these other positions. But let's go with this lineup, and I got to get running here. But this is a decent lineup that I'll run out in the games today. I will do the heads ups instead of the 50-50 so that I don't mess that up again. But check the website for the running tab of the bankroll and all that good stuff. And all right, best of luck to us. See ya.